Today I'm going to teach you how to make a Peter Pan collar. So first I have my two slippers. I have the front slipper and the back slipper. And for the back slipper I'm going to close this dart that's in the shoulder seam because we're not going to need that. It'll distort our Peter Pan collar. So I'm just going to close it off with some tape and then I'm going to release it after we do the collar. So I just put tape there. And then I marked on my back, on the shoulder seam, in the neck edge, 1/4 inch. And then I just put that right into this seam. And that will just help our collar have more ease and be able to lay flat on the neck edge. So I'm going to just match up the neck edge over to the shoulder seam, to the arm. Now I'm taking my other piece of tissue paper and I'm going to trace. And I'm using a highlighter so that you can see. Usually I use a pencil. You can use whatever works for you. So I'm just tracing the neck edge. I'm going to use my straight ruler to get center back and center front. Generally, a Peter Pan collar or a collar is about 1.5 inches, the smallest to about 2 inches. So I'm just going to do 1.5 inches, so I'm going to mark that. Actually, let's do 2 inches. Just gonna make a couple marks here at 2 inches. I'm also going to mark the shoulder seam. So I know where to match it up. I can put a notch there if I want. And then I'm also going to just right here, center front, center back, so I know which is front and back. You can see that. I'm gonna mark it really quick with my compass at 2 inches, and then I'll trace it over with the highlighter so you can see it. I'm just gonna go, let's make sure it's 2 inches. Okay. So here's the 2-inch width of the collar. And it's a Peter Pan collar, so we know it's rounded at the front. So we're gonna go to our center front and grab our French curve ruler. We're going to make a little curve. You can do it however you want. I'm gonna just make this little curve here. I want it more curved. That looks pretty good. So that's the curve that I want on my collar. And the back I'm gonna leave straight because I'm gonna sew it into the seam. So then that's how you make the Peter Pan collar. Now we can add our 5/8 of an inch seam allowance or whatever seam allowance you want. And I'll just start marking a couple of those for you. We'll also want to mark, you might want to mark ease on the inside of the collar, so you can ease it into the neck edge. And we can do our lengthwise grain, and I'm going to just match that up with the shoulder seam here. You can put a little notch here saying that's where the shoulder seam is. And we can put our name, the pattern piece, and do all of the regular final finishes. So that's how you make a Peter Pan collar.